Go ahead, Tony.
All right, everyone. Well, I've got the pleasure of introducing Heather Pressler this morning with BlueHuki Media or Marketing, excuse me. Um, Heather has been a member of this chapter for almost 6 years. So that'll be in November. Um, Husband Rob, children Ethan and Marie. Such a pleasure to have in our chapter and such a wonderful professional and business partner to have to bounce ideas off of, get advice from, and most importantly, help you with your digital marketing and find more business in that avenue. I'm not going to keep it very long on my time here. I want to give more time back to Heather for her presentation and kind of the launch presentation of BlueHuki Marketing. Heather, please take it away.
Thank you, Tony. All right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Heather Pressler with BlueHuki Marketing. And today we're going to be talking both about the company and then also some affordable marketing solutions to propel your business forward. And I hope it will be helpful to everybody on the call today. So who am I? And you can see my wonderful background here. This is our agenda today. We're going to meet BlueHuki. We're going to talk about different tips that I have for how to propel your marketing forward online in an affordable way. And then kind of sum up where we start and how we get moving forward. So who is Heather? So this is me over the years, kind of starting my journey to this point in my life. This is me here as a young fencer at MIT. I decided my senior year of high school, I wanted to become an NCAA level fencer, and MIT was it was one of the only Division I sports at MIT. And I went from being a novice to making it to New England regionals. And if you know anything about fencing, fencing is a very difficult sport in New England. I fenced Olympians in my time on the team. I did not win, but I did have some team members that did, which made that Olympian very mad. That tells you a little bit about who I am. I'm very competitive. Obviously, I went to MIT. It was years of hard work and effort to get to that point. And perhaps a little bit of luck. Everybody knows there is a bit of a lottery that goes into getting into a school like that. While at MIT, I was actually one of the first members of Facebook, or the Facebook as it was back then. So I was kind of an early adopter there. I went into science. I was really interested in becoming a scientist, kind of the business aspect of science. But before that point, I had been doing marketing for my dad for many years in Seattle. And so I kind of wanted to find a way to integrate my science with marketing and business. I traveled around the world doing science. So this was me in India with my friend. I worked for a pharmaceutical company in India, learning more about what it's like to work abroad as a scientist. The economy changed pretty drastically while I was in grad school. So I graduated from MIT. I came here to the DC area to go to Johns Hopkins and do a graduate degree in biology. And the economy crashed while I was in grad school. And needless to say, it bottomed out the scientific industry, and I knew I needed to get out in some way. So I did complete my degree. I have a PhD in biology, but I went into pharmaceutical sales. And as you can see with me and my lovely friends here, this was my first President's Club award as a pharmaceutical sales agent. And I actually was ranked #1 in the nation when I got this award. I was very good. Obviously, with pharmaceutical sales, I could talk the talk. I could give people scientific reasons as to why they wanted to pick one medication over the other. And that ended up leading me down the path to going back to marketing. And we'll talk about that later. But these are my whys. So that's Ethan and Marie and my poor diabetic blind dog, Lucky. They are the reasons I do this every day and part of the reason I'm on this path. And then that's my husband, Rob. He's active duty military. He's a major in the Army, and he is a foreign area officer, currently stationed in the DC area, and hopefully we're getting closer to his retirement here. So what is a BlueHuki? This is the first thing that people ask me. So maybe what I don't include in that story is where I started and where I began. So this is a picture of me and my family actually as we were leaving Honolulu. So I was born and raised in Honolulu, Hawaii. My dad was an engineer and ran a big engineering firm in Hawaii. And that is my dad in the background without a shirt on. He did that for many years. But that was us on a beach as we were leaving Hawaii to go to Seattle. My dad had a business partnership that went wrong. Some of the lessons I learned along the way, and he went to Seattle to start over. My mom's parents were living in Seattle at the time, But a lot of what I remember growing up and what was really impactful on me was that experience of growing up in Hawaii. You're definitely steeped in the culture there and their stories, and then other people's cultures as well. So some of these other pictures, I would go back to Hawaii about once every 10 years or so with my parents. And it's pretty remarkable. Every time I go back, it's a very different place. This is actually Matsumoto, which is where you get the famous like shaved ice. Like they were the original shaved ice. That was back when it looked like a kind of a hut, and it's on the North Shore. It's kind of a very small part of the island, and now it's like this huge place where they've redone it. There's lines around the block. It's a little bit overwhelming when you go back today. The North Shore has also been built up quite a bit since the last time I was there. This is actually me doing research in Japan. Interestingly enough, in Hawaii, Japanese culture is, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of Japanese business. It's steeped into the Hawaiian culture. And so I had a desire to go to Japan to learn more about their culture because I really only grew up in it, right? So, and then that's me graduating from MIT. What's around my neck are what are called tea leaves. It is something that grows on the mountains in Hawaii and is considered an achievement when you reach those mountains to grab the tea leaves. So when you go into something where you're achieving something where you're graduating, you wear tea leaves around your neck to emphasize that achievement that you've made along the way. So it shows you just kind of a subtle ways in which that culture has kind of been in my life. And then what a huki is, and from the picture at the top here, so huki comes from the creation story of the Hawaiian Islands, where the god Maui was, as a joke, fishing in the ocean, and he pulled the Hawaiian Islands out of the ocean. And so it's this movement up. It's also associated with like life, moving a boat forward. It's a pulling action. And the logo, if you can see, is a fish that is coming out of the water and moving up. So that is what a BlueHuki is and what it means to me. So now meet BlueHuki. So this is actually only part of my team because not all of us have headshots that look good in a picture like this. But there's actually a big team behind me. I previously wasn't really talking too much about them, but this is Jess, Cherish, Aubrey, and Sergio. And then there's also a bunch of other people that are not included on this photo, but they are my team. They do a lot of the digital work, and each one of them has quite a great skill set and has been working for several years for me. So I rely on them to get a lot of the work done in the background. So let's talk about the tips. All right, so evaluating your marketing. I always recommend start with a competitor analysis, right? If you don't know where you should be going, look to your competitors. Who's bigger than you? Who do you want to be? And who's the same size as you, right? That doesn't always mean they're doing the right things with their marketing, but at least it might give you some clues, right? What's your brand identity? So what sets you apart? What are your industry standards? How has your client experience set you apart? What is it like? Look towards expansion opportunities. So how can you grow your business? And then lead tracking is something that's very important before starting your marketing, because you want to know that the money that you're spending on marketing is actually going to give you a return on investment. So the first tip I have for affordable marketing things to do is be available 24/7. And I am encouraging my clients right now very hard to figure out where they're missing on this one. So do you have a chat on your website? Do you have a Calendly or a way for someone to book online with your schedule? Do you have call tracking and recording? Do you have some sort of instant quote or audit? And then can you sell something online? Because remember that people during COVID and even right now, like they're overwhelmed with the amount of things they have to do. They can't necessarily be on your schedule from 9 to 5. They might want to book that appointment or get something from you after 5, right? So the question is, how can you make that easy for them to interact with you without necessarily, again, sacrificing your life balance? You know, I'm big about that. So figure out some of these solutions that you can do. And yes, some of these do cost money, but generally they are not that expensive for what they're providing for you. Tip number 2 is paid digital ads. So the reason I have this as tip number 2 is because these are instant, meaning you turn them on and they are running, right? You don't have to wait to see results from any of these. And I've ranked them in the order of approximately how much money you need to spend to see results. So Facebook ads and Google Maps are on the bottom at starting about $500 a month. And then you go up from there. So LinkedIn's about $750, local search is much more, and same with AdWords. And other being like, okay, if you're doing Home Advisor, different types of industry specific websites that you can pay for. Now, the caveat here is that some of these, right, depending on your industry, are better than others, right? So LinkedIn is great for government contractors, it's great for B2B, but it may not be great for if you're looking for consumers, right? So these are all kind of depending on your industry, what you might want to look into. Tip number 3 is website, SEO, content, email. And the reason this is tip number 3 is because it's a longer investment. And you do have to have some expertise to be able to do this, right? But the idea behind it is that you want to be able to discuss things that make you special. Again, what's your brand identity? What's your niche? Being found for your niche if you have niche areas. Getting long-term growth. So any of my clients who are major players, and we're talking about like they are the top of their industry in the DC area, they are getting most of their leads from this strategy, from SEO, from content, from sending emails. So again, you can start out doing paid ads, you can start out with smaller types of marketing, but this is what makes you a big player, right? This is what gets you ahead of the rest. So, and an engagement and reusing that content, whether it's in email campaigns or on social media, a lot of times that is what's the big value in putting that effort into your website. And then again, as some other people on our call can tell you, maybe Kevin, maybe Paul, like it's a long-term investment. It's an asset that your business owns, right? So when you sell your business, that really well-ranked website is actually a big asset for you, right? And being able to show that and passing it off as a tangible asset. Tip number 4 is engage your network. So this was actually a really popular Facebook post from us this month. And one of this is free, right? This is your network online. So how is your network helping you? And on that note, I'm actually going to put in the chat, if anybody has a moment to write a review for BlueHuki, if you worked for me before and you haven't already written a review, I just posted our reviews down there. So this is where you ask your network, can you help me with my marketing, right? Can you write me a review? Can you put recommendations for me out there on social media? Can you help me vote for me in awards, right? Advice, and then in those Facebook groups, making recommendations for you. That is a powerful thing to have online, as anyone in this one in this group knows. And this is free, right? That is a free way of networking online, of getting more business and getting the word out about your business. How do you need to be different in 2022? You need to engage people online, as we talked about, 24/7, right? Identify new sources of income or revenue for your particular business. Focus on your profitability. That is very difficult depending on what you're doing right now. So making sure that you have your eye on the bottom line. Hire or purchase new revenue streams. Revamp your marketing. If you're trying to DIY it, if you're trying to do it yourself, it might be better to have someone come in and finally help you with that. Invest in your business strategically. And my number one thing, and I tell everybody every year, is try anything new for your business, right? And what is a winning strategy worth? These are just some examples from clients over the years. We have a med spa in Rockville that gets about 60 leads a month. Each one of those worth about $5,000 from social media ads. And he only spends $1,000 a month on those ads. We have a bariatric surgeon in Maryland that also gets about 50 seminar attendees a month from social media ads, as well as a very good SEO strategy. We also got, just after a relaunch of a brand new website for a family law firm, they had 10 times the number of inquiries just from redoing their website. And then from revenue, from startup to 2 years, so from being not profitable at all to throughout the pandemic, a Maryland dispensary increased their revenue by 20x. And they became profitable much faster than their investors expected them to, as a result of starting an SEO campaign with us.
And we are at 2 minutes, Heather.
Perfect. Thank you. What are leading brands doing? The key takeaways of this: sell online, be available 24/7, personify your brand. So be your brand, right? If you aren't already, have a cohesive digital strategy for that. Promote your goods or services to reach your goals. Content is key to SEO and rankings on Google, and your reputation matters. So engage that network to work on these things. That is my presentation today. Thank you so much for joining, and let me know if you have any questions, or if there's anyone or any referrals that I can help you with. Great referrals, again, are business owners, so ones who are established businesses but looking to grow big. Startups, so people who are just starting out, but they need some strategies that work to get them going in the right direction. Business developers, so anyone who works with businesses that know, hey, I know this business needs help with their marketing. I know that they have issues. And then other marketers are actually great referrals for me as well too, because oftentimes we collaborate on projects together. Great people that I collaborate with are brand strategists. I don't necessarily do branding. So brand strategists are a great introduction. Graphic designers are a great introduction because I don't do graphic design. I do it as it relates to social media, but not for print, for example. And then other web designers too, because a lot of times we'll do the content when they do the web design. So if you know any of those people in those spaces, those are great introductions for me. And we specialize in medical, legal, government contracting, construction, and real estate. But always happy to talk with anybody who has a marketing need.
Terrific job, Heather, as always. I know I